In May 2007, the coastal resort town of Praia da Luz offered a quiet, self-contained retreat for holidaymakers visiting Portugal's southern coast. Among the guests were British physicians Jerry and Kate McCann, traveling with friends, their nearly 4-year-old daughter Madeleine, and her toddler twin siblings. This 3D map illustrates the layout of the Ocean Club Resort. Notice the direct line of sight separating apartment 5A from the open-air tapas restaurant. The adults sat exactly 55 meters away. To monitor the children, the parents agreed on a rotation, leaving their patio doors unlocked and taking turns walking back to check their respective apartments every 30 minutes. The routine held until 10 p.m. When Kate stepped inside apartment 5A, she felt a sudden draft. The bedroom shutter was raised, the window was open, and Madeleine's bed was completely empty. The specific conditions that made the resort feel so safe, open access, relaxed security, and close proximity, turned against the parents in an instant, stripping away the critical early window of time needed to lock down the area. Within minutes of the alarm sounding, panic set in. Dozens of resort guests, staff members, and locals poured into the streets, scouring the beaches and emptying garbage bins in a desperate search. But this immediate, untrained response proved disastrous. Over 20 different people walked through apartment 5A before specialized forensic teams ever arrived, inadvertently crushing potential footprints, disturbing fibers, and entirely contaminating the room. Outside the resort, communication broke down. Hours passed before local authorities officially alerted Portuguese border police and Coastal Guard units, leaving every highway and port in the region wide open for escape. Adding to the confusion, the local Polícia Judiciária operated under strict Portuguese secrecy laws. This isolated the primary investigation from British media and police liaisons, creating immediate operational friction. By the time investigators attempted to establish a standard perimeter, the physical starting line of the case had been completely erased. Without a pristine crime scene or a secure outward perimeter, investigators struggled to build a timeline of an external suspect. Instead, they began to look closely at the immediate family. By late summer, British police brought in specialized search dogs. The dogs signaled alerts inside the apartment and later around the trunk of a silver Renault Scenic, a vehicle the McCanns rented 24 days after the disappearance. Using these alerts, Portuguese detectives constructed a new working theory that Madeleine had died accidentally inside the apartment and her parents had staged an abduction to hide the event. In September 2007, authorities formally named Kate and Jerry McCann as arguidos, or official suspects. Kate endured 11 hours of aggressive questioning, refusing to answer on legal advice while maintaining her absolute innocence. The entire theory rested on forensic samples recovered from the apartment and the car. However, when the UK's Forensic Science Service tested the DNA, the genetic material was too degraded to confirm any match. The internal theory legally collapsed. By July 2008, Portugal's Attorney General archived the case due to a total lack of physical proof, lifting the suspect status from the parents and effectively stalling the investigation. The case sat largely dormant until 2011, when the UK Home Office ordered the Metropolitan Police to launch Operation Grange. This effort aimed to bypass the contaminated physical evidence by conducting a massive systematic review of tens of thousands of documents. Detectives threw out the accidental death hypothesis entirely, turning their attention back outward to look for a targeted, predatory abduction. 9 years into the review, German federal prosecutors made a massive announcement. They identified a convicted German sex offender named Christian Brueckner as their prime suspect. This animated map tracks data points linking him to the Algarve. He lived in a nearby farmhouse, burglarizing local resorts. Telecommunications logs placed his phone near the Ocean Club just an hour before Madeleine vanished, and 2 connected vehicles were immediately re-registered. By tracking digital footprints and paper trails, the data review generated the most viable lead in 13 years, succeeding precisely where the chaotic physical search had broken down. Yet strong geographical overlap in telecommunications records do not equate to a conviction. Authorities still lack the definitive physical proof required to tie the suspect directly to Madeleine's location. Over the following years, investigators ordered extensive physical searches, sending police divers to scour the murky waters of local concrete reservoirs for any trace evidence. To this day, the case remains technically unsolved, stalled by the irreversible destruction of physical evidence that occurred in those frantic first 48 hours. The intense global scrutiny on Praia da Luz exposed fatal communication gaps across European law enforcement agencies. In the wake of the case, European nations implemented modern child rescue alert systems, interconnected digital networks designed to instantly broadcast missing persons data across international borders. Police departments worldwide also rewrote their protocols for early-stage crime scene management, specifically tailoring new rules for securing tourist hubs and transient environments. While Madeleine McCann's ultimate fate remains a mystery, her disappearance forced a necessary evolution in how the world responds during the irreplaceable first hours of a crisis.